Coming up here on Global Business, from pushing forward the implementation of major investment projects to speeding up the disbursement of policy funds, China's top economic planner pledges bolder steps to boost domestic demand. It's all about AI at this year's China Joy, the country's largest digital entertainment expo, where developers are showcasing how AI is making games more lifelike, but also easier than ever to build from scratch. And the Republic of Korea shares posted a record 17% surge today, led by SK Hynix's 30% rally, as AI-driven tech stocks stage a powerful comeback. And welcome to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wang here in Beijing. Now, we begin with China's economic development, where Chinese Premier Li Qiang chaired an executive meeting of the State Council on Friday, focusing on this year's economic work. That's following the CPC Central Committee Political Bureau meeting on Thursday. Now, the meeting called for a unifying consensus around the CPC Central Committee's economic assessment to drive high-quality economic development and to secure a promising start for the 15th five-year plan. It required enhanced efficiency of macro policies, expansion of domestic demand via major planned projects, stronger internal growth momentum through unified market development and better business environment, as well as proactive risk prevention in key sectors in order to safeguard people's basic livelihoods. Now, according to China's top economic planner, the National Development and Reform Commission, China will undertake more measures to expand domestic demand and push forward the implementation of major projects outlined in the 15th five-year plan.
We will expand high-quality supply to meet diverse consumption demand of consumers, further improve service consumption, and increase the supply of new generation high-tech products, such as AI-powered smartphones and computers, smart wearables and intelligent robots, while expanding agentic AI services. We will also accelerate the orderly deployment of 800 billion yuan in new policy financial tools and speed up the issuance and use of local government special purpose bonds.
Now, at a Thursday meeting held by the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, the top leadership reviewed the country's economic performance and set priorities for the second half of this year. CGTN's Da Kai spoke with Tian Xuan, Dean of the Guanghua School of Management at Peking University, as he breaks down the key policy signals and what they could mean for China's economy in the months ahead.
Many economists see the growth of high-tech manufacturing as one of the strongest signs of China's economic resilience. Emerging industries, particularly artificial intelligence, robotics, and innovative pharmaceuticals, have expanded rapidly.
Looking at China's first half economic data, what are some of the indicators that best show the economy's resilience? Are we seeing new quality productive forces gain real traction in key industries?
The development of new quality productive forces has become a major driver of China's economic growth. It has helped offset the slowdown caused by the real estate sector while creating new engines of growth for the economy.
The meeting also underscored that international trade and foreign investment remain key parts of China's growth strategy. So where are the next opportunities likely to emerge?
China's exports continue to face significant external pressure, so expanding institutional opening up will be important. That means not only supporting goods exports, but also boosting services exports. Further opening the financial sector and capital markets could also make it easier for international investors to increase their presence in China.
Looking ahead, experts say stronger fiscal support will be key as government spending translates into income for households and businesses. On the monetary side, a combination of policy tools, including reserve requirement ratio and interest rate cuts, could provide more liquidity to support the economy. At the heart of these policies is to strengthen domestic demand further. Experts say that should keep China on track to meet its annual growth target. 戴凯 CGTN 北京。
For more on the policy signals from the latest meeting of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, I want to bring in Wang Yaojing, Associate Professor of Economics at Peking University. Professor Wang, always great to have you on the program. So the latest Politburo meeting called for closer coordination between fiscal and monetary policies. How can these two policies better work together to boost domestic demand, you think?
Well, thank you for having me, Michael. So generally speaking, fiscal policy is better at directly creating demand, supporting income, and absorbing risk. And monetary policy is better at providing liquidity and reducing financing costs. And take consumption as an example. Fiscal policy can support household income and improve social protection and provide targeted subsidies. And monetary and financial policies can complement this by lowering the cost of consumer financing and mortgages. And for the investment, government funds can provide initial capital for equipment upgrading, infrastructure, and technological transformation, while banks provide additional financing. So the key point is that fiscal and monetary policy should not simply become more expansionary in parallel. They should perform different but complementary functions. So fiscal policy can act like the initiator, while monetary policy act like the amplifier. So the effective coordination can then turn limited public resources into a larger increase in consumption and productive investment.
Yeah, I think that's a great description of how monetary policy and fiscal policy can better provide synergies with each other in terms of boosting demand. Professor, the meeting, of course, also pledging to introduce regulations to support a unified national market, curb excessive price competition, continuing to upgrade traditional industries, and further improving the business environment as well. What do these priorities from this meeting signal to foreign businesses and investors?
Well, firstly, a unified national market is intended to reduce local protectionism and regulatory fragmentations and barriers to the movement of goods, services, and production factors. And this should improve resource allocation, strengthen competition, and allow firms to benefit more fully from China's large domestic market. And secondly, the effort to curb excessive price competition to address what is often called involution-style competition. Competition is usually beneficial, but repeated price cuts, excessive capacity expansion can weaken profitability, innovation, and product quality. And at the same time, upgrading this traditional industry shows that China's industry strategy is not limited to emerging sectors. So digitalization, automation, and green transformation can raise productivity even across a much larger part of the economy. So taking these together, these policies point to a transition towards growth-driven, more by productivity, innovation, and strong market institution that is marked by predictable regulation, fair competition, and consistent implementation across regions.
Yeah, and Professor, I also want to ask you about China's opening up policy and do a little comparison here, because the April Political Bureau meeting placed more emphasis when it comes to managing external risks, whereas this latest meeting had more of a focus on attracting foreign direct investment, improving services for overseas investors, and expanding high standard opening up. What does this shift in emphasis potentially tell us about China's priorities in the second half of this year when it comes to further opening up its economy?
So I would not interpret the latest meeting as China is paying less attention to external risk, but rather, after emphasizing resilience and risk management in April, the latest meeting places greater weight on using high standard opening up, service trade, and foreign investment to support growth in the second half of the year. And this may indicate three priorities. So first, China wants to stabilize market expectations by reaffirming that greater economic security does not mean economic isolation. And second, this is seeking a higher quality international engagement with more emphasis on services, technological integration and innovation, and also long-term investment as well. Third, the opening up can support domestic economic upgrading by bringing in capital, expertise, and greater competitive pressure. So this message is that development and security remain complementary objectives, and China will continue managing external vulnerabilities, but it also intends to create new opportunities through this high standard institution-based opening up.
Okay, we are going to leave it there. Professor Wang, always great to get your thoughts on everything. That's Professor Wang Yaojing from Peking University. All right, in other headlines, we're tracking at this hour across China. China's foreign exchange market recorded total transactions of some 28 trillion yuan in June. That's an increase of nearly 5 trillion yuan compared to May. Transactions in the bank-to-customer segment rose by nearly 20% month-on-month, reflecting growing corporate demand for foreign exchange settlement as well as sales. State-owned enterprises here in China saw total profits rise by 2.4% during the first 6 months of the year, while the debt-to-asset ratio increased by 0.5 percentage points during the same period. Authorities have urged these enterprises to step up innovation and drive industrial transformation and upgrading. And Hong Kong's economy grew by 4.3% in the second quarter, supported by robust external trade, which was boosted by the AI rally and resilient domestic demand. The figure exceeds the Special Administrative Region government's annual growth target of 2.5% to 3.5% for this year. Well, China is making huge progress in clean energy and breaking records along the way. New numbers from the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region show that green energy trading more than doubled in just 6 months. Now, at the same time, new projects there are testing better solar power, energy storage, and ways to recycle old wind turbine blades. It's turning the region into a real-life testing ground for the world's renewable future. Our reporter Zhang Shiqing has more.
New data from the state grid shows that green power transactions in Xinjiang reached nearly 16 billion kilowatt hours in the first half of this year, nearly double the total volume for all of 2025. Cross-provincial and cross-regional trees grew by 41%. Renewable energy now accounts for over 60% of the total installed power capacity. And to turn that massive clean energy generation into a stable, reliable power supply, Xinjiang is building some of the world's most ambitious projects. In Bortala, the region's largest tower-type solar thermal plant has been connected to the grid. It uses tens of thousands of mirrors to concentrate sunlight onto a tower, where molten salt heated to 800 degrees Celsius stores thermal energy, allowing the plant to continue generating power for up to 8 hours after dark. It's a clear shift from capacity-driven growth to flexibility-first energy planning.
In Bortala, new energy surpassed 98% of total capacity by end 2025, more than tripling in 5 years. Total capacity is set to exceed 10 million kilowatts by year end, producing 16 billion kilowatt hours of green power annually.
But the sun always sets, and storage is what keeps the lights on. Near Urumqi, China's largest standalone energy storage station has come online. The facility spans 28 hectares with 730 battery containers. By storing surplus solar and wind power generated during the day, it can discharge at night to offset the evening surge in demand. Where solar and wind are clean on the front end, their back-end waste, especially retired turbine blades, is notoriously hard to recycle. Here, stretching across the desert floor, the obsolete blades are now being given a second life, turning a global headache into a circular economy win.
Once decommissioned blades arrive, we assess them for the best reuse option. The main beam is precision cut and repurposed into industrial pallets or construction components that are as strong as steel, but much lighter.
Launched in 2023, the plant is China's first megaton-scale demonstration project in the power sector to adopt a dual-pass process, precision cutting, and thermal compression. Scraps are crushed into granules and heat-pressed into standardized panels. The entire line features sealed workshops, dust filtration, and carbon absorption, all meeting or exceeding national environmental standards.
At full capacity, we can process 10,000 tons of retired blades annually and produce over 13,000 tons of eco-friendly products.
From desert heliostats that track the sun, to battery stations that power hundreds of thousands of homes overnight, and the factory that turns old wind blades into industrial-grade building materials, Xinjiang is proving that scaling clean energy isn't just about generation. It's about storage, circularity, and closing every loop. A model that the rest of the world is watching closely. Zhang Shiqing, CGTN, Xinjiang.
It's still to come here on Global Business. Republic of Korea shares posted a record 17% surge today, led by SK Hynix's 30% rally, as AI-driven tech stocks stage a powerful comeback.
A vast land of 1.4 billion people. the world's second-largest economy. Home to stories of the unexpected, the unimaginable, the breathtaking. Stories that touch the soul. Feel the speed, the passion. Enjoy spectacular natural and cultural landscapes. Feel the thrill of cutting-edge innovations. Discovering China. Global Biz. China Travel. We present to China never seen before. 24/7 at your fingertips.
Well, China's largest annual gaming expo, China Joy, opened in Shanghai on Friday. This year's event runs from July 31st to August 3rd and features more than 1,000 game titles alongside the latest AI applications under the theme Level Up with AI. Now, much of the industry's attention is fixed on how artificial intelligence is reshaping game development, from creating more lifelike characters to providing the tools to help beginners turn ideas into playable projects. The expo comes as Shanghai's gaming industry continues to expand. The city's online gaming market generated 48 billion yuan in sales revenue in the first quarter of this year. That is up more than 17% year on year and marking its fifth consecutive quarter of quarter-on-quarter growth. Well, for more on AI's impact on the video game industry, I want to bring in Jin Yuchen, Vice President at Shanghai Jinqiao College. Yuchen, always great to see you. So, big question first. AI, of course, can dramatically reduce the time and cost of developing games. How could that potentially, you think, reshape the economics of the entire gaming industry?
Thanks for having me. Great to see you, Michael. I think AI is really reshaping the entire gaming industry here in China and globally. First, it dramatically lowers the overall cost. We're basically seeing the gaming development pipeline being rebuilt because of AI, and so the cost of making each game is lowered dramatically because of AI, and it's all the way from idea generation to production and to asset allocation to financing. Every step of the way, we're seeing AI being deployed. So at the recent GDC conference, we saw this tool basically allowing the team to lower the cost from $1,000 to $1 and the amount of time being reduced from 2 weeks or several weeks to only a few minutes. I mean, this is a dramatic change. And if you think about it, this is really powered by the development of these foundation models here in China. And it's a healthy, I would say, a circle, because a lot of these gaming companies are basically the financiers of these large language models. If you think about it, Tencent backed a lot of these AI companies, and 37 Interactive backed Zhipu, while Mihoyu backed the Minimax, and Zhipu and Minimax are listed, are publicly listed companies now. So once we look at these large language models, they're all backed by these gaming companies, and technologies developed by these large language models help reinforce the entire pipeline. So, which is a very healthy ecosystem being developed here. So number one, lowers the cost, and number two, it lowers development risk. And number three, I want to mention that it actually increases the overall competitive the overall competition, because it allows for smaller studios to capitalize on the latest technologies, and the proliferation of AI technologies can help them really gain market share.
Wow, so Yuchen, it really seems like AI is making game development so much more efficient, and I would assume that can also amplify human creativity, but it does beg the question, as AI takes on more of the creative process when it comes to game development, where do you think human creativity will remain absolutely essential?
Right. I mean, while AI tools can do a lot of things, I think humans are still relevant in this space, because while number one, it does reduce a lot of the human tasks, but it kind of moves humans to this upper stack because we still need to rely on humans for number one, story generation, and number two, taste, because it's really the taste, of this artwork that can resonate with the audience. Sometimes the global audience. If you think about Black Myth, Wukong became a global success, not because of some AI generated idea, because the team really dived, deep into the Journey to the West, which is a very famous story here in China, and they visit a lot of the historical sites, and they really drew a lot of the stories from history and created this masterpiece. And it's the human taste that ultimately matters. So I think we still rely on that. We still rely on humans for that. And number two is really strategic investments. If you think about these strategic investments made by these gaming companies along the way, whether it's into large language models and other strategic assets, it really relies on human judgment.
Yeah. Okay, so Yuchen, how about you put on your creative hat for us? What do you think will be the biggest AI-powered innovation in gaming over the next 5 years?
Right. We're always talking about this, AI gaming master, right? I think this is going to be the biggest development, meaning that we're going to see NPCs in these games, talking to, these gamers and also talking among themselves. So the agentic aspect of gaming is really becoming the next big thing. And if you think about it, it's going to require a lot of memory. It's going to require a lot of KV cache. It's going to be it's going to require a lot of compute, but it's definitely taking place. And the gamers are increasingly seeking that kind of experience. So each NPC can, remember the context and the dialogues they've had with these gamers and really create this customized experience, this more immersive, customized experience for these gamers. And I think that's going to be the next big thing. And this is really powered by the overall AI development. If you think about it, if you talk to your chatbot today, it kind of it definitely remembers all the dialogues you had with them. And it definitely requires a lot of memory, a lot of compute. But overall, we're going to see the costs coming down, and we're going to see the proliferation of such important technologies, and it's going to benefit the entire ecosystem.
Okay, great insights. Yuchen, we are going to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us. That's Jin Yuchen, Vice President at Shanghai Jinqiao College. All right, a look now at some other headlines we're tracking at this hour, where Republic of Korea stocks surged some 17% on Friday, marking their biggest single-day gain ever as global tech shares bounced back after a long sell-off. Chip giant SK Hynix, which had taken a heavy hit in recent weeks, soared nearly 30% and led the rally. The Bank of Japan kept its short-term interest rate at 1% on Friday, but for the first time warned that underlying inflation could overshoot its target. That suggests more rate hikes are indeed on the way, especially after the government recently stepped in to buy the Japanese yen. And finally, Eurozone inflation picking up for the month of July as rising energy prices fueled by the conflict in the Middle East pushed consumer costs higher. According to Eurostat, consumer price growth in the single currency area accelerated to 2.9% this month. That is up from 2.8% back in June. Well, the European Commission announced Thursday it is making 10 billion euros in public funding available for the construction of up to 7 AI gigafactories across the 27-nation bloc. The initiative is designed to help Europe catch up with the United States and China in the global AI race. Here's more from the Commission spokesperson.
AI development accelerates. Access to raw-scale computing power within AI gigafactories has become a strategic necessity for Europe. EU leaders are pushing to establish tech sovereignty as quickly as possible, aiming to reduce reliance on technology from foreign providers.
Today, we're indeed launching the call to build up to 7 AI gigafactories across Europe. This is simply one of the largest public-private partnerships, unlocking some 30 billion euro of investments. Now, why does Europe need this? Because Europe wants to become the first AI continent. These AI gigafactories will provide the necessary computing power to make this possible.
Under the new plan, Each gigafactory will be equipped with at least 100,000 cutting-edge AI chips, making them roughly 4 times more powerful than the data centers currently operating in the EU. Once all 7 are up and running, the block's total computing power will more than double.
Well, AI is transforming business, but not without a cost. The heavy use of AI chatbots and tools has given rise to a new concept known as token maxing. Now, if that term is new to you, don't worry, as our reporter Mark New is here to break it all down.
When AI reads a prompt, roughly every 4 characters equals a token. Earlier this year, how many tokens an AI tech worker used became a sign of productivity, with companies encouraging maximum usage, which came to be known as token maxing. Companies such as Meta and Amazon even used leaderboards to reward workers who used the most tokens.
But there's a dark side of that. Nothing is free. The more token you are using, the more money you're going to pay.
We've heard that many companies are already blowing through their annual token budget.
Finance departments stepped in, forcing companies to slash AI budgets and shift policies toward token minimizing or token minning. But that opened the door for Chinese AI models, such as Z.AI's GLM, Alibaba's Qwen, and Moonshot's Kimi to move in at a lower price.
The reason for the Chinese models to be cheap is multiple factors. Number one, they are open source. Basic open source means what? Means the code is there, you can download it, you can check it. Now you have hundreds of thousands of engineers, software engineers, that help in the company for free. The other thing is they found a way to program better.
Banafa asked both Kimi and ChatGPT who won the World Cup and why. ChatGPT's answer is far more detailed, but he says Kimi's answer is simpler and more straightforward, sometimes all that's really needed. He asked both chatbots to compare the token prices of the leading U.S. AI models compared to Chinese models.
OpenAI, $35, Kimi, $18, Claude, $12, Gemini, $14, and Minimax from China, $1.55.
Yes.
Wow, that's way lower.
Yeah.
Lower prices have led U.S. companies like Airbnb and Amazon to incorporate Alibaba's Qwen, while cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase says it switched to Kimi and GLM to help it cut AI spending in half.
The future I see for AI, it should not be measured by how many tokens you have. It should be measured how smart the question itself. I envision that we're going to get to an area of the AI where the system will tell you there is another way for you to ask this question. Instead of relying on the human to squeeze their brain, there is a step saying, this is not the right way to ask that question. You can ask it this way, this is how much it's going to save you.
Banafa says the problem with that is that AI companies may have little incentive to help users spend less per prompt, since ultimately that could mean less money for them. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
And that's going to wrap up this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.